Well, I would dance my way in, except that I am kind of a klutz. And I don't think anyone wants to see that, nor does anyone want to pick me up. But hey, this is quite the honor. I am literally the last of all of the main stage speakers. And you know what they say, save the... Just for the record, they said that. I didn't say it. They said it. Well, hey, listen, do any of you know that real estate is easy? I mean, if you don't believe me, just ask one of the many clients who have seen me close a deal and say, did you see that? Did you see how much money he just made? And he barely had to do anything. Real estate is easy. I'm getting my license. And then they get their license, and pretty quickly they realize real estate is actually really hard. See, the problem is they had this plan to get their license, but they didn't have a plan to become a professional. And there's a big difference between having a license and being a professional. A license gives you permission to practice. But professionalism, well, that determines how you perform. And so as a speaker, I am on a mission, and that is to elevate professionalism in our industry by raising the agent's mindset and sharpening their skill set. Before I go too much further, I want to show you what drives me. I have a family that I'm absolutely passionate about. Really, the reason that I do any of this is because of my family. And this year, I have been married to my beautiful wife, Elizabeth, for 25 years. It's a big accomplishment. And here's what I can say. I can look you in the eyes honestly and tell you that after 25 years, this woman still drives me wild. And the beautiful thing is she feels much the same way about me. In fact, really tender moment, just last week, she looked at me and she said, Mark, you are driving me crazy. I mean, kind of similar, right? No, we have a great relationship, and great relationships are forged by going through hard stuff together. We've been through a lot of hard stuff together. One of the things that going through hard stuff is she actually going to stick with me? And believe it or not, she has. And she's been there all along to remind me, if you'd just done it my way the first time, none of it would have been so hard. No, we're very blessed. We've got 3 amazing kids, Tommy, Olivia, and Alicia. I wish I could tell you all about them, but I will tell you, Tommy is actually graduating from college in 2 weeks, and he's coming into the business with me. 3rd-generation realtor. I'm very excited about that. Speaking of business, I've been in it for 20 years. I run a company of about 150 agents. Last year, because I'm still practicing, I personally sold 55 homes and did north of 20 million in volume. So why does that matter? I didn't just read the right books and write a keynote. I'm actually in the trenches as an agent. So the things that I teach are from my experiences, plus the real life experience of leading a large company of agents. Now, when I look across the industry today, there's one common thread that I see among all of the top performers. And I'm not just talking about the ones that have a good year here and a good year there. I'm talking about the ones who perform year after year after year. The ones that you would look at in your associations and say, now that is a true professional. So what is it that sets them apart? It's their mindset. They know that their mindset matters. There's a guy in the Bible, his name is Paul. Paul actually wrote letters that make up much of what we call the New Testament. And Paul, he had a grasp on something that most people miss. And that is that there's power in your mindset. In one of the letters he wrote, Paul says this, finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, lovely, commendable. If there is any excellence, anything worthy of praise, think about these things. Another version of this actually says, think continually on these things, center your mind on them, and implant them in your heart. In other words, let this become your mindset. Now, probably important to know that when Paul was writing these words, he was actually in prison. But not just any prison. Paul was actually in the worst part of the prison. They believed they would actually have to lower him down into a hole where it was cold and damp, very little natural light. And by the way, it's also believed that it's where the sewage from the prison flowed through. So you could say quite literally that Paul was in a pretty crappy situation. And yet, this is what he's writing. And I think there's a lesson in it for us, and that is regardless of our circumstance, we choose what we center our mind on. Your mindset matters. Before I close today, I want to leave you with something. 4 years ago, the athletic director of Chess Christian School came to me and he said, Mark, we need someone to take over the new girls basketball program. They just finished their first season and they needed a new coach. Now, my business was rocking, okay? It was terrible timing. But it was a chance to coach my youngest daughter. And I knew I'd never regret the time that I would get with her. And so I said yes. I walked into the first practice and I looked at my girls and I said, girls, we are building a championship program. We will win championships. This will be our mindset. Now that first season was painful. We got beat a lot. But after every loss, we'd go in the locker room and I would look at the girls and I would say, it's okay, we will get better. We will win. We are building a championship program. We will win championships. And because I'm so inspiring and I give such rousing speeches, we would go right into the very next game and get devastated. I mean, like obliterated. But I would take them in the locker room. I'd say, it's okay. We're building a championship program. We will win championships. Fast forward. It's my third year coaching, my daughter's freshman year. We find ourselves in the championship game against our arch rivals. And I want to show you what happened. Can you help me by hitting play on that back there? I don't know if it'll automatically play. There it is. I'm the big goofy guy. That's my daughter jumping in my arms. It was the greatest sports moment of my life. After the game, we went in the locker room, and I looked at my girls, and I said, girls, when I started as your coach, I told you, we are building a championship program. But tonight, we are a championship program. You see, when I got those girls to start seeing themselves as more than just a team that got beat all the time, and I got them to start seeing themselves as a team, as part of a championship program, everything changed. The way they practiced changed. The way they showed up. Even the way that they took a loss. And that's what the right mindset does. Do you know your mindset matters? I told you in the beginning that a license gives you permission to practice, but professionalism, that determines how you perform. But what I didn't say is professionalism starts with your mindset. And if I can raise your mindset and I can sharpen your skill set, we won't just make you a better agent. We'll make you a true professional. Thank you. This is my newest course, Provide Chick-fil-A Service in a McDonald's World. I love Chick-fil-A, and I can eat there 7 times a day. So anyway, my podcast, Real Life in Real Estate, you might recognize some of those faces of people who have been on there, including Heather Haas in the back. Look at that. Guys, what a privilege, what an honor. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful rest of the conference.